So language, the L of NLP, this was back in the day, this really was how NLP emerged from modelling Virginia Satir, observing what she did with people in a family therapy session, where she would say something to somebody which seemed out of context of what was being spoken. But the way in which she said something and what she asked in the form of a question evoked a highly emotional state within a person that was way beyond comprehension initially. So from this, from her words, came the meta model, which is a series of language patterns that challenge violations in language where there's been a deletion, a distortion, or a generalization, and some form of information or data has not been specified in the communication. And so they've clarified these language patterns, which are collectively the meta model. They're not unique to NLP. Some of them came from transformational grammar. Some are obviously from linguistics and syntax work in language. But packaged in NLP, the meta model is a way of acknowledging a person's pattern that they've given, and depending on your intention, you're wanting more data and more information. As a result of this, a person's got to go deeper into their unconscious to give an answer. Now, when you master this and the use of this, your results for your client's business and for therapeutic clients or coaching clients, the results that you will get will be absolutely phenomenal. It's almost like you can just cut right through all the fluff and something's just emerged, and it's like, could take them 6 or 7 weeks in a counselling session to get to this thing, where using the meta model with precision, with rapport, just brings it up. Its side effects are it can be quite intrusive, it can be quite provocative, and the opposite is the Milton model in language. So we've got the meta model, which I've just unconsciously recognised sits over here, and we've got the Milton model. Maybe it's because, maybe the meta model's over here and the Milton model's over here. So the Milton model can put you in a trance because it's so ambiguous, it's vague, and some of the patterns, as you're aware of my voice right now, as you're listening and nodding, very good, and smiling and breathing different. So when a person is using the Milton model, there's a lot of ambiguity, but there's recognition. The meta model can also put a person in a trance, because a trance is an altered state. When you ask a person a certain question, that can stop them in their tracks. Last time we were here, can you remember, well not here, but last time we were together, can you remember what we were focusing on? What section of NLP we were focusing on? You were a demonstration subject, and I think Alice, you were, what was that topic? Can you remember? Anchoring. So when we anchor a person's state, there's other ways to unanchor that using language. So if a person goes into a certain way of talking or a certain state, at some level in their past, it's come from somewhere. When a person is telling me about a problem or something that's going on that repeats itself, I could ask a simple question like, where did that come from? Or when did that start in your life? It forces a person to go back and select somewhere historically. So at some level, a question can put somebody back in time. it would put them in a trance because their cognition, they'd have to come out of the here and now and they'd have to go back, and when you recognise they're back there, that's when their unconscious is open and you can do some kind of intervention using the Milton model or going through a process. So I said to you down in South London, we're going to do a submodality map across. It was like bang, 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 map that across, bang, bang, bang. A long drawn out thing. We're at the level now where we're using language and states, and you can get somebody somewhere very, very quickly through the use of language, through recognising their metaphors, and just by asking a question very congruently. Does that make sense? So language is a massive tool for you as a practitioner of NLP. And we are programmed. Somebody, what did you say to me, Patty? How was your journey?
What was your journey?
What was your journey?
From John Leeds to John Miami.
Okay, so what the presuppositions in that statement, what does it presuppose?
Started in one.
It was a journey.
So what was the question? What was your
Journey.
What was your journey from John in Leeds to John in Miami? So in that sentence, what are the presuppositions that are present? There's two different Johns. There's John in Leeds and John in Miami, and there's something joining them together called a journey. Now, how could I answer that? Because that's an ambiguous statement, and there's multiple ways that I could answer that. I said, I got on a plane. So that was one way of answering that. Is that enough information? I've not said what plane, where it flew from, where I sat. So there's a lot of information deleted. But the actual question really was, how did you go from someone who didn't know NLP to somebody who learnt NLP to somebody who then works in Miami using NLP? That was the real question. Yeah? I sort of knew that
I know you did.
after I said
Just chose
I
to
flew
choose.
there. And one of the another answer would be using language on myself and with other people. Because when I was in Miami, people were talking, there was a conference and people were talking in a certain way. When you're trained in NLP, you can read between the lines and you know what must be true in a person's map of the world as they speak. You just know. Next week I'm in Manhattan, and I'm working with some people there in a hotel, then in a big organisation. I'm working with some people from Sony Music, again who use language in lyrics but also use language in business. And when you listen to these people, you can tell a lot from their language. One of the things that I've asked the people who are coming on the course is I've asked them a few questions which will open up their language patterns, and they will give me an indication of their beliefs, their values, how they process, without them knowing that that's what happens. So language, make no mistake, is, when you understand it, it really is everything. Because language comes from your unconscious. Right now I'm talking to you, but I really don't know what I'm saying. To some degree, it's just flowing. I know the frame that we're in. We're on the meta model, and I'm going to deliver the meta model specifically. But language is unconscious, it's fluid, and it's attached to internal representations. For you as practitioners of NLP, there'll be certain times when your awareness needs to be heightened to pay attention to language. The language that you use, the language that your client uses. So I can tell and I can say things to an audience, and things will go in at a very deep level without them knowing that they're going in. So I just wrote on the board Favourite music track? What I'm interested. What are your favourite? Is there one track that you think, oh yeah, that's not for you? There will be one. Has anybody got a favourite music track? Joanna, what's yours?
It's a REM record, and it's called. It's the one where.
Oh, that
It's
one,
awful,
yeah.
but it really
Now-
does move me. It's the one where it's. I think he saw somebody about to jump off a bridge.
You can sing it if you want.
No, I can't get funded.
Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah.
I know the one.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everybody hurts.
That's the one. Everybody heard. That's the one.
now, so Joanna's talking about.
I said my memory
Now
was
you've
bad.
said it, she knows it. But the thing is, if she heard it, she'd know. Now the thing is, unconsciously the noise is attached to your body at a certain level. You hear it and it's like, but when somebody like me says, what is it? It's like, oh bloody hell. And then when somebody says, everybody hurts, that's it.
I'd know it within the first few beats.
Exactly, but she doesn't know what it's called and she doesn't know probably the words and the structure. If you've got a favourite track that really moves you, when you've done the meta model today, print off from the internet the words and look at the language structures, the violations. You will be amazed at. You've been listening to this track, it's almost like the soundtrack to your life. When you listen to it and you hear the words, there'll be certain phrases and words that are like, oh my goodness, that's why that means so much to me. Or that's why that. So language is everywhere. And pieces of music, obviously, they can be quite moving, but they've got language. Somebody once did a study of number ones in the US and number ones in the UK, and the study was just looking at predicates, were they visual words, auditory words or kinesthetic, and they found that one of the two countries had a massive sway to auditory words with the number one singles over I think a 10-year period, and the other country had a massive sway to visual words. Which country do you think the UK was, or England? Auditory. Yeah, auditory. A lot of the number one tracks, when they went through the predicates, a lot of them were auditory predicates, whereas the number ones in America were predominantly significantly visual. I don't know why they did that study, but it was like a pretty, well, as scientific as you could get, linguistic. So, using the meta model, you'd need to decide when you're going to use it, because you can be a bit of an arse if you're using it to delete, because there's always going to be some deletions. Generally, always, yes, always. In every sentence, yeah, in every sentence. So there's times to use it and times to like, whoa, chill out. Not now. Like at Christmas, when you're with the family at Christmas dinner and somebody's saying, that were nice, what specifically was nice? Well, the turkey. Well, what specifically was nice about the turkey? It's like, oh, John, leave it out. Just having Christmas dinner. Just having Christmas dinner? Is that all? So it's almost like, there's a time and a place to use the meta model. If you're going to use it with a client, I would always pre-frame. Look, we're moving into a time now where you're going to tell me certain things, and I'm going to talk to you in a way that you've probably not been spoken to. But just take that as a sign that something's happening. So that's a complex equivalence. And you'd get agreement. You wouldn't go into it. So I want somebody to tell me about their business, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask some questions, because the real way that you get used to the meta model at practitioner level is just by going with your gut reaction. what we'll do, we'll give names to language patterns, and we'll give the challenges and what happens when you challenge, but you do not have to know the pattern, its name, and what you get with the challenge. At this level, you just go with your gut instinct, because you're not going to challenge everything. So this was a time when I was doing my practitioner when I thought, I don't like NLP now. Like, anything that's spelt complex equivalence, don't like that. Never heard of that before, and it's like language, don't like that. And I remember thinking, no, this is not for me. And you know what? I'm glad I never sort of like just bailed out there, because language, when you understand it, is the key to everything. And you can be a real master when you know how to play with it. So I just want somebody to tell me about their business. Could be about their personal business or the company that they work for. And this is something that I do in corporates with large companies. I'd get them to the front, or I'd get a copy of the New York Times or the English Times or the Guardian, and they'd read things out, and we'd challenge deletions or language patterns. And really, it's a little bit like your speeches this morning. They're really saying nothing. But with the meta model, we want to just challenge. Our child, this guy has believed that he's ugly, and being ugly, which is a complex equivalent, I'm ugly, I equals ugly. He's had this belief all his life, which has stopped him from going to dances, from playing out, from attending work dues, a whole host of things. I'm ugly. And when I asked him, when you say ugly, what do you mean? He didn't know. And I said, don't you find that interesting? He said, well, yes. I said, so you've told me that your whole life has been affected by this thing called ugly, and you don't even know what the hell it is. I said, that is so interesting. And when I used the meta model, it really blew out his whole belief. And we went on to work on something else, because he was a man who was 32, but when he was 7 or 8, he got this label ugly. And that's been his identity. And now he's 32, he's got 2 children, he's got a wife, he's got a team for a large company, but he's not confident. So I didn't need to work with a 32-year-old guy. I was dealing with like a 7-year-old child that thought he was ugly. It's so interesting, it's so powerful. So who would like to tell me about their business? You don't have to be scared, it's just yeah.
Not there.
Okay, so just come out here. So I just want you to, what businesses are you?
I teach people to play golf.
Oh, okay, so we'll just go with your gut reaction. We're not putting any labels on. We're going to challenge any deletions or generalizations or distortions that he says about his business. Okay? So tell us about your business.
I work in Bromley. I teach people basically to play golf. Either people come to me, say, look, please improve my golf, or I'll walk up and down the range and watch people play golf,
Okay.
hit golf balls. And I just start chatting to them, really. Not necessarily about the golf swing, just about anything. Just me actually physically standing there. They're like, are you watching me? And sometimes I'm not, sometimes I'm watching someone else. But by standing directly behind someone, they think I'm watching them.
Okay, so he's used quite a few language patterns just in that dialogue. He's used a few words that I challenge, which would, for my money, relate to beliefs he's got about what he does. Any comments from you guys on his dialogue?
Well, the first one was basically.
Exactly, that was me as well. So he said basically, now, if you're going to sell yourself, and this is no criticism to him, we all use these terms, we're just playing here. A lot of people say, oh, I'm just a this, or I'm just a that, or well, basically what I do. It's almost like dulling it down, or yeah. So basically, so it's like, oh, do you teach people basic golf, or do you teach people to be elite golfers? What is it you do? He didn't say which type of people, but basically. So when you say basically, what do you mean?
I guess exactly that. I don't want to sort of say, hey, I'm a professional golfer, everyone, check me out.
So why don't you want to say that?
I don't know, I guess it's just like bragging a little bit, really.
I thought you did say that on the first day.
So now he's just said another word. I guess it's just like bragging. So again, there's like some uncertainty. It's like, you know, do you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife? Guess I do. So is it or isn't it? Is it bragging?
Am I bragging?
No, you said, I guess I don't say that because it's if I did, it's bragging. So I'm just saying, is it bragging if you say you're a professional golfer?
I guess it's not bragging, it's just I just see it as different. I'm just talking to people and like, you know, what do you do? Oh, I'm a 9 to 5, I work in London, blah, blah, blah. And in fact, I did it on the train, and I just started a conversation with this guy, you know, how you doing, you know, God. Because I don't go on the train, and I see all these people, and they're all sitting there like sardines, and they don't talk to each other, and I'm like, wow, you like so
When you say sat there like sardines, what do you mean?
Well, you're all like bunched together, nobody's talking, everyone, like one was asleep opposite me, the other one was like in the earphones looking out the window, and these two guys look like...
On a train?
On the train, yeah.
You said you didn't go on a train?
This morning.
This
This morning? Or normally you don't go on a train?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I've got
So
friends
abnormally
here.
you do?
Abnormally.
No, I'm just like, language, when you actually challenge it, it really becomes like bizarre, and it's like, oh, jeez. So, thank you, Jay.
Yeah, I'm confused.